What's good, dear dovies? I don't know. Well, actually, I do know what happened, but the Diary of Volunteers on Earth went into an unintentional summer break. The good news, we're back. I don't really feel like I need to justify myself or anything, but just as an explanation, because I feel like it might be interesting. As the loyal dovies out there of you might know, my last podcast episode was out of Iran. Now I'm sitting back in my parents' living room here in Graz, the second largest city of Austria. And Hans Sandra is visiting too, my mom's pet squirrel. She's out there. And a lot has happened in between. A lot. The last episode, I believe, dates back to April, if I'm not mistaken. I have 3 podcasts already in the pipeline, basically, that are just waiting to be released. I have a 4th one where I'm still not sure if I want to release it, which also brings me to the explanation of why I took such a long break. I was in Iran, and as some of you might know, the internet connection is not the best. A lot of apps, a lot of websites are blocked. You can only access them via VPN, which also meant that I wasn't able to upload any of my content. I wasn't able to upload any of my vlogs. I wasn't able to upload anything on Patreon. And that kind of killed the motivation for me to do anything podcast related as well. Also, it was just not that easy, I guess, to find people who wanted to record podcasts with me in Iran. And the volunteering kind of changed the speed and the, I want to say, quality of my travels, of my trip. For those of you who don't know, I started a journey in the end of February of 2023, earlier this year, and I decided to hitchhike all the way from Austria, from my hometown, where I'm right now, to South Korea. More on that a little bit later. And that was the reason why I don't know. Somehow it happened that I didn't publish podcasts over the last 4 months, almost 5 months. So it was a long summer break. Like I said, the good news is we are back. We are back on air, and I'm super excited to share the podcasts that I have recorded with you. There is one waiting that I recorded in Pakistan. There is one that I recorded in India, and there is one that I recorded in Korea, which are also the last 3 countries that I visited after Iran. But the purpose of this solo episode, and so to say kick-off entry into the Diary of Volunteers on Earth for, I guess, the 3rd season? I don't know if I want to call it that. But the reason is I want to give you guys out there some kind of life update. I love the fact, I really, really love the fact that there are a couple of 100 people who are actually listening to this podcast, who have been following my journey very closely, who have been interacting with me on social media while I was on the road. A few of them have even supported me, and I feel like I just wanted to share that with you guys out there who are listening to this, with my beloved dovies. Big heart to you guys. So like I said, the purpose is to give a little insight on what it's like to returning home after 6 months on the road, what life is like in Austria for me right now, and also what the plan is for the next few weeks, months. I'm definitely not going to say years, because I'm going to be honest with you. It's very difficult for me to plan ahead for more than, 3 to 4, tops half a year, 3 to 4 months, maximum half a year. And that's also part of the the path that I've chosen, I guess, the journey that I'm still on, because besides the physical journey from Austria to Korea, I've also been on a personal journey, on a journey of growth, on a spiritual journey, on the journey of the one that they call Jakob, I guess. That's been ongoing and is still ongoing, fortunately. Uh, and yeah, that's where that's what I've chosen, is a kind of life, I guess, where I don't know exactly what's going to happen. And ironically, this was also the case over the last 6 months, where I didn't know what was going to happen most of the time. I didn't know what was going to happen if I get in the car with this guy or in the truck with that guy. I didn't know what was going to happen if I go to that place in Iran or this place in Pakistan. I didn't know what was going to happen the next day. And it somehow was much easier to deal with than it is right now. Right now, when I'm sitting here and with what is ahead for me for the next few months. But before I get into all of the dirty details, let me just also thank my sponsors for this podcast. You already know them if you are a loyal Dovey and have listened to the last few podcasts, because they have been my sponsors for the whole trip, basically. I mean, not the whole trip, but on this podcast. And that's Dr. Walter, my travel and health insurance company that I went with. And as you know, if you do an adventure similar to the one I did, I can't recommend enough to get a good travel and health insurance. If you do night hikes in Cappadocia, or if you, I don't know, jump on trucks in Pakistan, or hike up to, Masur Rock, which, for those of you who don't know, is super beautiful place in northern Pakistan. It is highly recommended to have some kind of insurance. For me, it was very nice to know that I don't have to worry in case anything happens. Still, knock on wood, I am very lucky and very fortunate that no major things happened to me. I had a small conjunctivitis, eye infection type of thing in Pakistan. I had food poisoning in Iran, but neither of those actually are big enough so that I have to go to my insurance and ask them for help. But you should still do it. And if you go with Pro Trip World from Dr. Walter, you can't go wrong, because they've got you covered. They've got pretty much everything covered that you can imagine. Even when I was riding a motorbike in Balochistan, they messaged me to inform me that, yes, I am covered in case I have a motorbike accident. And yeah, it's just a good thing to have. So make sure to check them out in the show notes. But now back to the juicy bits of this podcast. Chances are that if you are listening to this podcast episode, that you also have been following my journey over the last 6 months. Like I said, just as a quick summary, basically, back in November 2022, I quit my job as a journalist, as a news reporter for Austria's second largest daily newspaper, I believe, the Kleine Zeitung. And I started doing my own content. I launched this podcast. I was even nominated for the Ö3 Podcast Awards, which is Austria's largest network. I was in the top 3 for the newcomer podcasts with your help, which was super exciting for me. I got to go to Vienna to the awards ceremony, which was super fun. And somehow over the course of 2022, I decided that I want to go on an adventure. And for those of you who don't know, I am a very, very passionate scout, as in kind of like Boy Scouts. I am a member of the World Scout movement and of my scout group here in Graz since I'm 7 years old. And every 4 years, there's the World Scout Jamboree, which is the biggest scout camp in the world. And this year, it just happened to be in South Korea, which I might go into details later, was probably not the best decision. Um, but I decided that I didn't want to fly. I didn't want to take buses and trains, but I wanted to make it a proper adventure. I took all my courage, which is something that a lot of you have commented on over the last few months. And I started or decided to hitchhike. And my plan was to make it from Austria to Korea in 5 months. Due to various reasons, I didn't actually complete the whole plan. I made it all the way to India. I hitchhiked with, I believe it's around 170 different rides. I took 10 buses or 11 buses. I took 3 boats. I took 1 train. And in the end, I had to take a plane or 2 planes from New Delhi via Vietnam to Korea because I just ran out of time because of the choices that I made. I changed my plan basically. I decided to take more time in the countries that I was in, namely Iran, Pakistan, instead of rushing through all of the other countries. In South Korea, like I said, I joined the World Scout Jamboree as part of their international service team. I was a volunteer there, and I had the privilege and the opportunity to work with the news team, which was super exciting. But for those of you who haven't heard, the whole thing went a little bit haywire, and due to various reasons, organizational fuck-ups, as well as just bad luck, I guess, with the weather. We had a heat wave. We had a typhoon who approached the Jamboree campsite, and bear in mind, that's 40,000 people. And in the end, the whole thing had to be evacuated. Everyone was scattered around all of South Korea, essentially. We had a cool closing ceremony in the World Cup Stadium in Seoul, which was really cool with a K-pop concert. But it was definitely very different to what I expected, but at the same time, 100% unforgettable and memorable. And I'm very glad that I was part of the whole event. And yeah, after that, I decided to come back home a little bit earlier than expected. I wanted to, there was a point in time where I thought I was going to join a wedding. Huge shout out to Ben if you're listening to this, and of course to his new wife, Michelle. And I very much apologize that I didn't make it in the end. I just had to take into account my finances and my financial situation, and it would have just been too expensive to fly from Korea to the US and then travel in the US and then fly from the US to Europe. So instead, I went straight from Korea via China to Budapest and then hitchhiked the rest back home, which is where I've been for almost a month, I guess, on and off, with a little trip to Italy. And this is where I am at this point in time. Of course, one question that I've been asked a lot by various people was, how does it feel? How is it to be back home? How is it to be back in Austria? What even is home? I was asked by my great new friend, I should say, Schmidi, my travel companion, who I traveled with for 6 weeks in Iran and in Pakistan and in India. He asked me what even is home for you right now, and I kind of want to address this because I feel like this might be relatable to some people out there who, I don't know, have worked abroad, who have spouses in different countries and moved for love, or people who just have extensively traveled, or even people who just for other reasons don't really feel like they have a home or are kind of confused about what it is like to have a home. And for me personally, I've realized that I can feel at home very, very quickly. It doesn't take much for me to feel comfortable. It doesn't take much for me to build up a comfort zone. I kind of did that, for example, in Isfahan in Iran, which is where I spent in total almost 4 weeks, I believe. It just needs, some people that I vibe with, and one place where I return back to. And I don't remember the exact phrasing of the question, Schmidi. I apologize, but coming home here is still different because I grew up here. I was born and raised in this very, no, I wasn't born in this apartment, but I was raised in this apartment. I was raised in Graz, and a lot of it is still very much the same. Um, Especially, and I hope my parents will forgive me. My parents love keeping things. Um, so many of the things that are around me have been here for years, for decades. And even the people, even though I'm aware that they have changed, but in a much different pace, maybe. It feels like they have changed in different directions. And coming home is always a big blur of different feelings. Of course, on one hand, I love being able to spend time with my family. I love being able to spend time with my friends, coming back home, seeing everyone, telling the stories, telling of the adventures that I had is fun. I mean, enjoying the garden, our shared family garden that we have here with a swimming pool is amazing for the late summer. And Graz in general is just a really nice city. I mean, we've got pretty much everything that we need. Don't get me wrong, it is somewhat expensive, especially compared to the places that I've been to lately. But we've got a beautiful city center with a historic city. We've got a river. We've got parks. We've got, you know, there's really nothing to complain. And at the same time, coming back immediately gives me um, it's almost like a feeling of having mental or emotional shackles put on my wrists, and it has this kind of like feeling where, or it feels like I'm back in a very narrow space that, for reasons that I probably should talk to a therapist about, uh, I've tried to escape from for a big portion of my adult life, anyways. And also, for sure, post travel depression is a real thing. And I'm very much guilty of being on social media a lot lately, and checking out all of the stories of people that I've met, of other travelers that I've met, and seeing how they are still on the road, seeing the adventure is continuing for them, and uh, it isn't for me, and probably that definitely affects my mood a lot. Uh, and thinking about it, I should probably do that much less. And one more thing that I want to address is before I go into the future plans, is the fact that I mean, I've talked to especially my mom a lot over the last few days. We had some talks, and today in the morning she approached me while I was having breakfast, and because of the stories that I posted on Instagram about being home, about not really being appreciative enough of coming here and being able to come to this safe haven, safe harbor, I guess, that I have. And I for sure am. Maybe I'm not able to show it as much, but it's not really that I'm not appreciative of it. It's more that when you post stuff like that on the internet, and I have been very transparent with my life over the last half year and maybe even longer on the internet. When you blast out stuff as a content creator, you have to be aware that of the maybe 500 people who see it, there will be 499 different interpretations of what people have seen. And objectively speaking, you come home as a 31-year-old. You don't have a fixed income. You don't have a job that you return to. You don't have your own family, like, I mean, as in a spouse and children. You don't, I mean, I have an apartment, but you don't have much property that you return back to. You initially move back in with your parents. And in my mind, it was like, people probably think that you are a failure. It was this fucked up feeling of shame that I ought to be ashamed for coming back here, that I ought to not. And I have addressed this actually, and I have gotten some very, very kind replies from some people that I ought to not to be proud of what I've done, because I'm not returning to those conventional and normal, under air quotation marks, things that people are supposed to have and do when you're 31 years old and you are from a Central European country and you're a man. And for those of you who know me, this is exactly what I'm trying to break with. Fuck those norms and fuck those social conventions and fuck shame. There's really no reason why anybody should shame themselves for living with their parents or with their family or returning back to their family, probably at any age in life. Of course, this is my very personal opinion, but you never know what the universe throws at you. I mean, it can be much less voluntary reasons than mine, because I put myself in this position. But you can be struck by sickness. You can have some major life events, negative life events that happen to you. And as long as you are sharing this online, I feel like there should be no shame attached. Most people don't even share anything like that because they are afraid of the shame. So, like I said, I'm done with that. No, thank you. And at the same time, I know that I have to take, no, I don't have to, but I am taking 100% responsibility for the path that I've taken, for the journey that I've taken. It was 100% my own stupid idea. It's not stupid, but it was my idea to do what I'm doing right now and to quit my job and to go on this journey and to try and make the first few steps on becoming that some people, I guess, have branded as digital nomad. Other people have branded it as content creator. I don't know. I don't really know. I don't really like labels and brands and drawers that people are put in. But for the sake of it, because it makes it easier to explain it to people, what I've started to call myself is a full-time traveling storyteller, I guess. And this story being about myself. And this will bring me to a point where I actually have a very guilty conscience, because I feel like I have not done justice to a lot of the people that I've met and the stories that I wanted to tell. In some cases, even kind of promised them that I would tell their stories. And I'm really hoping to do that over the next few months. And I'm going to use this kind of connection to talk about my personal future. If you are still in this after 20 something minutes, much love to you. Thank you so much. And this is what's going to happen next, I guess. So, like I said, being a traveling storyteller is definitely not an easy path, in my opinion. I don't even know if I would say it's more or less easy or hard than I expected it to be. Probably it's around that. Um, but my biggest issue right now is my financial situation for sure, because I don't have a fixed income. I am in the very lucky position that Austria has a very good social system. And if you pay your taxes for a certain amount of time, I believe it's 1 year, you are eligible for unemployment money. So what I did is when I came back to Austria, I signed up, or I informed the unemployment service of Austria that I'm back in the country and that they please may give me some money if they will, to support me while I have no job. This is, like I said, a super fucking privileged position to be in. I realize that many, many countries around the world do not have such systems. And I am counting my blessings that I'm eligible for that. I'm earning 60% of my last salary over the next 2 or 3 months. There is a time limit for how long you can take that money, how long you can receive that money. That's the correct English word. I believe it's somewhere around 4 or 5 months, if I'm not mistaken. And at the side, you are also able to work and earn up to 500 euros a month, which in comparison, for example, for my apartment, I'm paying 650 euros a month. Just to give you an idea of how much that is. If you are tuning in from a different country, hi to all my new Iranian dovies out there. Maybe some of you are listening. Yeah, so this is where I'm at right now. And in November, right now, when I'm recording this, we have the beginning of September. At the end of November, I am starting in the end of November, I'm going to spend most of my days in Vienna, in Austria's capital. So if you want to come visit this, come and say hi, because I will be working at the Christmas market in front of the very, very famous Karlschurch. It's one of the most popular and most famous Christmas markets in Vienna, and I'll be selling my dad's handmade and hand-designed, I guess. Well, he uses a computer, I guess, too, to design. Anyways, my dad's jewelry. I will be doing that for the end of November and all of December until Christmas. And then after Christmas is the big void. The big, big void where people like me might be familiar with having no fucking idea what's going to happen next. I have some ideas what I would like to do if I can afford it. But long story short, I'm probably not going to be in Austria for too long. I just have too many callings that I hear that my gut, my heart is yelling out that I want to do. Some of you might have noticed it, but I felt so comfortable and so natural out there on the road, out there in some of the most or the least traveled to parts of our world. I mean, I have to brag a little bit because I just love the fact I was the first Austrian, well, at least according to the border office, I was the first Austrian to cross the border I crossed from Iran to Pakistan. How fucking cool is that? I'm actually proud of that fact. So, and none of that felt uncomfortable to me. people have been asking me, was there ever a point where you wanted to give up? What was your low points? And I had almost no emotional low points. Traveling through Iran was fucking hard. Don't get me wrong. Not because it's such a like bad country to travel to. The opposite is the case. But just because of the situation that the people in this country are in. I'm gonna get a little bit political here, just because I feel like I owe it to the people. 99% of who I've met feels like they're trapped. They feel like they are in an open air prison. They feel like meeting a traveler like me is their way of living freedom. I repeat that. Meeting a traveler is their way of living some sort of freedom. And that was harsh. The stories that I've heard, that I've been told by people because they trusted me, were shocking. Some of them were sad, and I will carry them with me, and I hopefully will also tell them occasionally forever, because it left such a huge impression on me. But other than that, it never felt like, why have I done this? I mean, of course, there were like very, very brief moments. Why am I doing this? But they were literally just moments. And in total, I loved that adventure of the last 6 months. And it felt so natural that that's what I want to be doing, at least for the near future. But of course, I mean, even though I was traveling on a budget, and I was making some money. I actually I was able to transfer, I think it was around 1,400 something euros that I made from Patreon, of which I don't know, like 500 euros were from my parents. But it was really a cool feeling to know that you've made money creating content, you've made money by traveling. And like I said, I've traveled on a budget, but you still need some money to travel. So if I have the foundation, I want to get out there again, at least until April probably, because my dad is going to turn 60 next year, and I want to be here for his birthday. I have had a calling from places in South America, especially Chile and Peru. Shout out to all my Chilean friends. Maybe I will come visit you guys, and I'll travel there for a few months. I also really, really loved northern India. I did a drop-in meditation at a meditation center there, and it really gave me the feeling that I want to advance my meditation practice. So maybe I'll do that. If they let me, who knows, maybe I'll return to Iran for a little bit. There are some ideas out there, and it's just up to me to make a decision. But the way I know myself, it's gonna be a very spontaneous one. And probably I'll just decide over the next few months what's going to happen. So yeah, this is it, I guess. This is the life update. This is where I'm at right now. I hope I didn't forget anything. If I did, I'm gonna address it at another time. Maybe in the end, because I was speaking about my financial situation and about my content, I have reflected on it, not a lot, but a little bit. And I am aware that a lot of people are trying to do what I'm doing. A lot of people are out there trying to travel the world, trying to make content, trying to be a digital nomad, and trying to make a living like that. And I know that it is hard. I know that the way I want to do it is gonna be even harder because I don't want to be the bitch of the algorithm, to be honest. At least, at least not too much. Maybe just a little bit, a little bit, and a little bitch. Uh, because I don't want to be that guy who does things just for the clout and just for the following. I want to give an authentic view. I want to be a conscious traveler. I just don't want to run around, being a dickhead to other people without name dropping. I know that a lot of other travel content creators, they don't give a shit about the communities that they travel to. They literally just do it for the content. And I don't want to be like that. So it's going to be even harder. I might adjust a few things here and there. We'll see. But that's the path that I see myself on. Unless somebody throws me a huge bone of opportunity, I will go fetch. um, but other than that, yeah. If you like what I'm doing, if you've been following me over the last few months, if you've been a loyal Dovey, thank you so much. I can't express my gratitude enough. But at the same time, if you're hearing this, please, if you can, support me somehow. At least if you haven't done so, subscribe to this podcast, subscribe to my YouTube channel, even if you don't use YouTube. It helps me. Share this with your 3 friends who you think they might benefit from this, who you think they might take some value from this. If you can afford it, I will put the link to my digital tip jar, my PayPal in the subscription or in the show notes. And you can, even if it's just a couple of bucks, throw that in there. Because if it sums up, that also helps me a lot. Yeah, and just keep on spreading the message, keep on spreading the love. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your attention and for spending time with me. Until next time, with Khawaja from Pakistan, which is gonna be a very, very interesting and very, very challenging episode. I'm just editing it now, but it is a conversation that went all different sorts of directions. I'm very curious to see what you think. Yeah. Until next time, much peace and love. Jakob.